Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there o see them yopo.
Point because you know some people something.
To that extent.
Yeah. Now, of course, I mean the conversations moved on,
Yeah.
but you made some very critical questions.
Yeah.
Raised some very critical questions about how the judicial is functioning in the whole.
Yeah.
You talked about the perceived bias.
Yes.
You
Yes.
also talked about the independence and
Yes.
the
Yes.
pressures that are put on the independence.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the Afrobarometer report says, in fact, if you believe the CDD's Afrobarometer, the trust in the judiciary is at an all-time low. How can we rebuild that trust in the judiciary? What can be done immediately to deal with that problem?
Well, it's a constitutional problem.
Is it the appointment part?
Yes, the appointment process. As I explained in my presentation, you want the judiciary to be independent. The Constitution states too. Nonetheless, on the Judicial Council, which recommends justices to be appointed, so you have the Attorney General and 4 nominees of the President sitting there, taking part in the proceedings as to who should be presented for appointment to the Supreme Court. Where is the independence of the judiciary? You have the executive so strongly present there, and that's why I quoted a passage from that table. I said, with those people, they can influence the course of the appointment, and that's political influence.
Okay, that's an interesting development.
Oh, yes.
Because you do recall that there was a time that Professor Raymond Atuguba had raised the issue to do with who appointed who and how they ended up voting, essentially. And you judges were up in arms against him.
I remember I wasn't there. But if I was there, I probably would have come. Because when I talk, they would simply say, because it's...
You are related to him. No, but the substance of the matter is what you're raising.
Yes.
How then do we deal with this? Should we remove the president's appointees from their judicial committee, the judicial council?
Oh, yes. What are they there for? The separation of powers. Executive should be separate from the judicial arm so that they are independent, can do their work freely. Then you bring them there to police their appointments from the beginning. Is that how to achieve an independent judiciary? And apart from that, you see, if you look at the present structure of the Judicial Council, you have the Chief Justice as chairman. You have a representative of the Supreme Court and the various other lower courts. I think the magistrates and secretaries, they have one representative. But the other courts, Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, High Court, they have a representative each. You have the Judge Advocate General from the Armed Forces. You have the Director of the Police Legal Directorate. You have the Editor of the Law Reports. You have 2 members of the Bar Association. And then you have these 4 presidential nominees and the Attorney General. This is the composition. Now, if you look at it realistically, who can stand up to a Chief Justice who wants to do the President's bidding? I mean, just for the sake of argument. Who can stand up to him? Is the Attorney General and the 4 nominees? They will certainly try to push for the President, isn't it?
I get your point, but would it be fair?
I'm coming.
Okay.
As for the other members, 2 members of the bar, it also depends on their inclinations. You know, there are only 2 anyway. And then, apart from the representative of the Supreme Court, it also depends on how he stands in relation to the Chief Justice. If it's not independent-minded, he may like always to side with the Chief Justice. As for the others, they are below the Chief Supreme Court, so, you know, their promotion and all those things depend on.
So is it fair when someone suggests that the courts are not balanced and that the courts are consistently being packed? Is it fair?
I would say consistently because, okay, let's take it from 1992. 7 January 1993.
Forgive me, we're talking about more recent phenomena. And the person
okay.
I'm trying to quote here is the former President Mahama, who says that we should be seeking to balance the courts, not only because it's not balanced, but also because a lot more people who are lawyers within the NDC should be interested in getting on the the bench. Is it a fair assessment of the structure of the court? Mindful of what you just told me.
Well, I think in a broad sense, yes, because you see, the courts belong to the public.
Yeah.
That thing should never be lost sight of. See, everything in the state belongs to the people. Every other person in any position is a trustee for the people.
Yeah.
And so the people, that's why court proceedings are held in public, so that the public can follow the proceedings and assess things for themselves, see how justice is administered, whether it's fair or not. And so, I mean, there's a big public outcry about the nature of the Supreme Court as it stands. They feel that it's politically tilted to the MPP. You are a media man. I think you can see a lot of those sentiments expressed on social media. That's why to the extent they call them unanimous FC.
Is it fair?
Well, I'm coming. Well, the point I'm making is when the public loses confidence or they start complaining, you don't just push it aside, because when nothing is happening, they won't do that. They won't do that. Why is it that they were not having that impression of raising those flags earlier on?
And there is an all-time low. Trust is at an all-time low.
I'm coming. So, on the whole, but the National Security Minister also even came out to talk on this point.
Yes, he said that it's not good for security of the nation.
Okay.
That courts are seen to be given a judgment that's unanimous.
Okay.
I mean, that's the right word to use, actually.
Okay. So, you see, public perception in your private estimation may be right or wrong, but it has effect all the same.
So who should deal with it?
I'm coming. So when it has effect, you try to diffuse that effect. Well, as I said, those sentiments don't arise out of a vacuum. And to win the public confidence, they must feel that the judgments are sound and not politically jaundiced. So if there's a big outcry like this, something has to be done about it. You see, the bad thing about this country, something bad is happening for political reasons. They would like to push it under the carpet. No, nothing, so and so and so. They did it when the cry about corruption was rising and rising. What happened? When Anas went in, what happened?
They found judges.
My cousin and 2 or 3 others, when they raised it, the courts banned them.
Yeah, they were prevented from practicing.
Shortly after that, what happened? That's where...
In the investigations reviewed that some were taking all the other things.
Clearly.
The judicial corruption scandal was reviewed.
Clearly. That's why when it doesn't pay to gamble with the truth, or it will surface and can cause damage.
Now,
so, on the whole, that perception, well, is there. I didn't cause it, but it's there. And so Mahama can talk about it. The only point where I disagree with him is he should have gone further to say that you, the NDC lawyers, should be getting ready, those who are experienced and independent-minded, so that they come and will not give the same impression.
Okay.
But if it is just politically balancing the equations, that's not helpful. then why don't you leave this? Is it just because you also want the opportunity to, to do the same thing?
Or influence the judiciary?
That doesn't advance anything.
I get your point.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about unanimous FC.
Yes.
That's a terrible title, isn't it?
Well, I didn't create it.
I get your point, but
yes.
my point is, how do we, is it fair to the judiciary that we only take some key cases and use it to brand them as always ruling in a particular direction?
But how do you assess, so do you take the minor things to assess any situation? You go for the minor things. Now, those are not the things which affect the national system of operation.
But is it even justified criticism, in all fairness?
That's why I'm saying that I'm not the public.
Yes.
The public are entitled to their views. I'm not the public. But that is what there.
They are thinking about.
They are strongly convinced of it.
Now, let me raise an issue with you that's very recent.
And I'm saying that it has to be dealt with because just like the corruption thing that was being swept under the carpet, so and so, people vanished. What happened?
When the expose brought it
Yes.
up. Okay. Now, a recent controversy was when people had filed petitions against the EC on an injunction they were seeking. And the Chief Justice, we are told that the register could not schedule because the Chief Justice was out of town. And that she had to wait. When she came, the scheduling was after the registration exercise.
Well, you see, in that scenario, even as a layman, how do you find it?
It was surprising to some of us because we have not seen that happen.
Good.
Perhaps because we're not also legal officers who had also been in the courts consistently.
Yeah, but if it was something that could be fairly done or properly done, why is it that it was never happened?
What has been the standard practice?
No, it's not a question of practice. Article 1, 446 or so, the Constitution I've been really taught to you. It's clear. And that I've dealt with that in my speech also. That when in the absence of the Chief Justice, or if the Chief Justice is unable to act for any reason, the most senior justice acts until the Chief Justice is able to resume the functions. That is a clear constitutional provision. And in Masu, when you read it, I said, look, some Chief Justices, Africa, this thing is there, but they will look among the judges and think that, these are close to me, the others maybe are pro here, and so if the most senior is not close to him or her, some of them, when they are traveling, they will swipe and hand over secretly to somebody who is not the most senior, but is close to them, to be running affairs.
Okay.
Yes. And even if they will give things to the next person, they are just inconsequential things, petty things, you see. And I noticed, look, Redu suffered that thing, Redu, before he became Chief Justice. Whenever Aban traveled, I didn't want to mention it, but let's do it for clarity. His cousin Ampia was virtually the acting Chief Justice in his absence.
And not the next senior most.
Redu was the next most senior. He was always sidelined.
Okay.
And I remember vividly, on one occasion, Redu thought this was too much. There was the annual Judges Conference, and it's normally addressed by the Chief Justice, flanked by the Justice of the Supreme Court. And Ampia was going to do it. Redu went in there and said, no, he is the next most senior, he is to do this. And I think Ampia had a speech for him to read. He said, no, he will read his own speech.
I see.
For that.
Except in this case, the subsequent justification is that this was during break. This was during the judicial break.
Yes.
So that case could not be listed during the judicial break.
Oh, I don't think so. Don't you have vacation judges in the High Court? Vacation, urgent matters can be dealt with during vacation. That's a settled practice of the legal system. Urgent matters. And even, I think I never do, there were Court of Appeal vacation judges, he even introduced that. It's not illegal to sit during the vacation. And even with the consent of the parties, you can try a substantive case during the vacation.
Even at the Apex Court?
Oh, why not? It's the same rule. It's not the same vacation.
Is it possible the rules have changed?
Well, I've left since, as I've told you, I've closed my mind. So.
I get you, because that's what we were told.
Yes.
Now, I need to fast-pace this conversation.
Yes.
The other points that have been raised in there is that you basically took a mirror to the judiciary and tried to show it as having so many defects that ought to be fixed.
Yes.
Which is fine and all good.
I don't know.
But some say, even when you were part of the judiciary, it was not perfect.
But, I mean, it's a strange thing to hear. So we shouldn't strive for perfection? Is that the implication? That's a serious argument to make? No, the judiciary is to be partially independent or wholly independent?
Of course, wholly is our aspiration. Now, the argument then is that it's because you are not in there, that is why you are criticizing it. And that it's not proper for a former judge to be doing that kind of criticism.
Not proper?
Yes.
Who says it's not proper? What is there to say that I cannot?
And
don't I have freedom of expression under the Constitution?
And these current colleagues of yours or previous colleagues of yours, you could have engaged them on some of these pertinent issues without making it public, or perhaps subjecting them to...
Why not? That's the trouble I stand against. Sweeping important matters from the public eye when they are the owners of the thing, to hide things from them. For what reason? Are you the owner of the institution or the people? They should know the facts concerning their institution. I don't like these kinds of things.
Interesting. Now, reflection. I mean, you've been in this country for quite too long for you to understand the judiciary than most people in this. What can we do beyond the Supreme Court changes that you just suggested to make sure that our judiciary is trusted more? What can we do?
Well, what can you do is an institutional question. But as I said in my presentation, and quoted from that paper, institutional independence is different from personal independence. If you don't take care to look critically at people's backgrounds and their moral and whatnot standings, and you bring them there, some are ready to pander to the wishes. I mean, the provision is there, giving them the independence.
Because people have complained about the kind of judges we are appointing now.
Well, some of them, of course. Like I quoted from 69, when almost the most junior high court judge was brought to the Supreme Court over and above Atuguba and co. And Atuguba, Apalu, they were the most seniors. They became, I think, the 4th and 5th on the order of seniority. And they brought the equivalent as a circuit court judge to be chief justice over them. That was because the Salah case. Atuguba wasn't even on that panel, but of course, because he belonged to the same class or time with Apalu, probably. You know, this sort of thing, they start today. It's only, you know, I saw starts, unless it's treated, it will fester and fester and fester and
become worse by the day.
That is it. So this one, first of all, for anything to be done, it must be by constitutional amendment.
Oh, we should.
The only other way is moral talking, but you see, if you go on that tangent, these people are all mature and well
developed people.
Yes.
They know left from right.
Oh,
they know what is right.
Sure.
Anyway.
So that tangent is out. So, like I said, in Kenya, when they were they satisfied with the Supreme Court. They simply dissolved the Supreme Court and ordered everybody to reapply, and different people could apply. And then that's how Judge Wood went there. They picked judges from the Commonwealth jurisdictions to interview and select.
Okay.
That's how they solved that problem.
Are we at a point where we should do the same in Ghana?
Well, my answer is as good as yours.
I want to know yours because you have the experience. I am of no use to this.
No.
My views are very material.
You are very well informed as a journalist. You are even more well informed about happenings and events than me.
I'm wrapping up the conversation with these questions about country Ghana. Yes. Your reflections when you sit back, are we heading in the right direction? We have a domestic debt exchange. We are before the IMF. We are, of course, our economy has difficulties. Are we heading in the right direction?
Well, I'm not an economist, but as a layman, you just suppose this against the past orders. And certainly, if virtually everybody is complaining about hardship, you can't say that we are heading. The president himself is required, unless you, the media people, misreported him. On one research, he acknowledged that things are difficult, but somebody is coming who will make things better. So this is not an issue for debate.
Our democracy, is it thriving?
Thriving?
Is it developing a direction that we should get it? Is it leading to the yields, the dividends that democracies lead to?
Well, as at now, you look at you see, the judiciary is the hub of the democracy. And there's great outcry against it. So when the center is not holding, what do you think can transpire? You look at virtually all the other institutions of government. There are serious complaints. The EC, you know. Parliament, you've seen how...
But we almost have an almost-hung parliament.
Yes.
Which is an improvement, isn't it?
It's supposed to be. Is it so in practice?
Is it not?
Is it so? Well, this is not a legal question.
I get your point, but that's why I'm taking your views on what's happening in the country generally.
Oh, but as I told you,
as an elderly statesman of this country with distinguished experience and competence.
Oh, you see, when you're on the bench, your life cycle is very limited. And I'm living much the same way.
Okay, I see. I get the point. Now, the questions about functioning and developing a judiciary that's fit for purpose, and even a system or a Ghanaian society that can deliver.
Yes.
Your reflections, what can we do to improve the lot of Ghanaians in general?
Oh, I think that's what I was saying, that you know, for anything to go well, the management system must be sound and operational, you know. So if the institutions are not free and sound, you can't expect sound results. And that's why I was saying that we need to reform the Constitution drastically.
In what specific ways?
Reducing the powers of the president. There's too many hands in the appointment process. You can't say people should be free and he is appointing you and you are virtually under him.
Which specific ones would you think he should be stopped from appointing?
The judiciary, the EC, Shraj. You see, it's not necessary. If you say these institutions should be independent, you don't let the president come in any form or shape.
Okay.
Well, even if he's at the receiving end, but once he's part of it, he'll know how to. If he's that type, he'll still know how to, work his way through. So for me, the judiciary, like it's happening in Kenya and Britain now, there's a special appointment judicial commission. Entirely independent. I don't like the way the English one is composed, and so forth, but it works. But they are under nobody's
control.
And they do the selections. People apply. And in fact, I think their topmost lawyer applied to go to the Supreme Court, but he didn't get. But now he's there. He's right again. It pained him, but he's there now. He's very good. What we should avoid is giving the. You see, power is very attractive. That's why they say power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so if you tempt somebody with power who is already, especially those elected to presidential, they feel that they have the mandate. Nobody has that mandate compared. They have the largest mandate. So they think that. That's why in Israel, Netanyahu, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Say that the Supreme Court, it's not an elected body, and they try to, review so-and-so, just because he's facing all sorts of charges. That's the interpretation some people have given to it. So people in the executive positions will always like to have control according to their own likeness. And that temptation or even impropriety must be removed. Look, why should a president appoint the top commanders of the army? It's a layman. It's a professional body. Let them have their own body, and they can make their appointments and so forth. Maybe there should be some body for appeals too, if things
are not really going the way they should be. You mentioned the EC too.
What?
The EC. Recently a gentleman was appointed to the commission, and he raised very serious complaints about how where the person is coming from, how the person's impact is supposed to be on the court and all of that. In fact, people had even civil society groups have said he was biased, he was partisan, and all of that. Is it a major concern that should be addressed?
What do you think about that? You've also heard these things, and you are very mature and well-informed. What is your...
except that under these circumstances, before you, I cannot have an opinion of any relevant
but I'm
status.
giving you the chance to have an opinion.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No, it's because yours is what is very powerful.
No. I mean, in what sense? Look, journalists are better informed than probably anybody else. You are the feelers on the ground.
Because this is more to do with constitutional qualifications as against the independence of an institution and the trust people repose in that institution. That's why I'm asking you this question.
No, but the constitutional provisions are just to operate a system to serve the people. So what is special in the provisions? It is how it is exercised. And everybody can form an opinion. First of all, is it inherently healthy to bring somebody who can be said, on this, just at a glance, that this person be slanted? Is it advisable or fair to do that? With what intent will you choose such a person over others who? Let us, always be direct issues.
Do we have decent men in Ghana?
Oh, sure. But I've extolled some of them.
Yes, I get you.
I couldn't get the full list. Oh, yes. They are there. But they don't have the power. That's always the trouble. But I have confidence in these bodies. Is it Fix the Country or what? I think I listed some of them.
Okay.
And I don't know most of them, but a lot of them that I listed, I took them from, they brought the action against Dominibus.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I saw.
So those are the people that you actually picked out.
And it means that they are committed to that extent that they can go to the Supreme Court and challenge. And that's what should be happening.
A lot of that.
And when you have a strong and independent-minded court, oh yes, a lot of these things can be upheld. With time, people will know that they can't be that powerful. And that is the Constitution which rules everybody. And then things will fall into that.
I had an engagement with Justice Ofa Akufu.
Yes.
It was an interesting conversation. The tail end of it, she told me that she speaks out more now because of the need.
Yes.
Because she feels that her generation has disappointed the younger generation and that they should try and correct the ways or make sure that things are done right now. Do you have a similar feeling?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And that's why I said we have to restructure, everything. Restructuring is with that intent to make things go well. And when that is happening, people grow up into it, and they think and live in it, But when it is like this, look, we're having young people are out there. I mentioned it at the lecture. Some are having very good qualifications. They're looking for jobs. What happens? Is the Army recruitment policy? We know what happens. Protocol. Somebody's not fit. He goes in because he's connected to somebody high up. Somebody is tomorrow. You can't get. How can you run a healthy system this way? How can the people be happy?
Corruption.
And then the youth, when they become dejected and they feel that, oh, this is the only way, they're also going to become cultural practice now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you are looking for somebody, you look for somebody who can.
And you continue that wrongdoing. Fight against corruption and the fight against illegal mining. That's Galamsey.
Yes.
From where you sit,
yes.
Are we doing well? Our current fight.
Well, it's a large terrain. You can't know where and where these things are happening and to what extent they've been brought down and to what extent they are still happening. But that's why sometimes I like your TV station. I hardly watch TV, but one day a friend of mine, the one I play cards with, said, so he put it on. And then Joy FM was there. And there was a feature program on this Galamsey.
Yeah.
And I like the person who spoke on it. He didn't sweep the facts under the carpet. He said, it's still going on in the areas were portrayed. The deep excavations and whatnot. He even went as far as to say that they've been, I think, either destroying some excavators or impounding them or something. But there are no-go areas. And he mentioned, it's your own program, you can go and cross-check. So one excavator or one mining area belonged to some politician. And there they can go. It's your own this thing there.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know in how many places, but the chiefs complain a lot, and the chiefs are spread all over again. So it means it's still a big problem. Yeah. And, that's a big worry to me. Because what does it mean? That the whole Ghanaian state is unable to eradicate this menace. It hasn't got the capacity. Can you imagine that?
Shocking.
Yeah. How possible? You have the army, you have the police. They can't put down this menace. The whole state of Ghana. Wonderful. Let me confess, when I was on the bench, and this thing, as I was on the bench, I was having, but one day I was going to Kumasi, and I used to hear that, hey, the water bodies are
polluted, yeah.
Then on the way to Kumasi, I saw some river flowing as a tunnel or something. Hey, clear. Wasn't water.
The color.
Yeah. Clear. Hey. So when I came, I said, oh, this is a reality. So I started telling my colleagues from time to time, I said, look, normally judges don't act on their own, but we should just sit down and see the country dying like this. Let us summon the people who should have put down this menace, order them to do it. Well, I didn't get support. But I understand that I was going too far.
That's interesting.
Oh, yes. But because, see, look, the common law is the handiwork of the judges. Yeah. And it is not static. It is fine-tuned to, redress societal challenges and evils, It's a judge-made law. So, can always, but, step by step,
That's true.
So yeah. I felt that maybe this was going too far. And then my retirement came. So,
do you think political leadership can fix this problem that I'm saying?
Well, say political leadership.
I see the people in the ministries, the minister for lands, and of course you have ministers, we have mining inspectors, we have regional districts. Those people are put in charge of it to deal with it effectively.
Well, so let me ask you a rhetorical question. So if they were doing this, would it be there? You think it would have been there?
Maybe the president put his presidency on the line.
Yes, a statement is a statement.
And yet it's still happening.
Well, he will be in the best position to explain why. In relation to the statement he made, it's still like that. He's in charge of the security apparatus and all that. I can't give a very proper assessment.
Finally, on corruption.
Yes.
What can we do to step up the fight against corruption? In fact, we have an OSP office already functioning. Yes, or doing some work. We have, if the president says it gives me all the money to the relevant stations of state to do the job that they are supposed to do. That's the independent bodies are supposed to fight corruption. More than ever, they've gotten money to fight it. But if you check our Transparency International rating, we are not making any improvement.
Well, first of all, have you cross-checked whether the funding is actually on the ground?
Okay.
Well, when Martin Amidou was leaving, he said he was financially handicapped, his office. Although they said, was it 80 million CDs had been voted, but he said he was handicapped. So these matters, you can even collect the facts better. I don't have the means. But it's just not funding. It's the real independence of the people in charge. Although people are hard on this OSP, I think he's trying to do well in some way. I think he's trying. Yeah. I don't know the challenges he's facing. I'm not in his office, so I don't know. But I think he's trying. Maybe there are some bottlenecks which he can best explain. But the fact that there is a large a very big hue and cry about corruption. Shows that the fight against it hasn't gone far enough. And that's why I say public opinion has to be respected. These perceptions don't just germinate from nowhere. No, people are not mad, just except they are politically jaundiced. You know, start saying things they don't see or they don't believe in. But, you know, when on the whole, there are so many people, there's a big outcry about something. I've given you the example of the corruption that was alleged and how people were banned from the courts. And what was the fallout?
When the expose happened.
Yes.
Now, I'm concluding this conversation with it might be unfair to you because you are retired now.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe when you are in active
ask any question.
Because it's important.
Yes.
Now that it is important for people to know how much dollars people have in their bedrooms.
Yes, yes.
That question is equally important to Justice Atuguba.
Yes.
How much have you kept in your bedroom?
You can go in now. Go in now. And I can produce. I had to restrain myself. I think as from last month or so. I've been living on overdraft to top up my pension from month to month.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Former Supreme Court judge?
Yes, but I won't blame it on the state because the pension, I wouldn't say it's too bad. But, you know, in the African context, you come from a family. If you are the eye, it's a large family. They are major shareholders of your salary. That's what I can say.
We should continue with this conversation in the future. But I'm very grateful for your time this evening.
The country where I come from, the truth is ironic. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the go so confuse the call. Now by area why no baby. We are the go so confuse the call. One gas yeah why no baby. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what's I see so. Now your friend on a nine come as him. Only papi obeka nice and beer. So I won't or bet you were too. Everybody was afraid. And when Tina to my cottage, I nine. Once my board dumping one and ninety. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku drofo nyina danima. Enti who go say the truth? Obiadra konson so to grow your man set to me be a kakobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be manu mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku trofo nyina dalima. Enti who go say the truth? Abaya Baby boy techino. Yeah the baby but nyande bi. Tachi sa would your mouth pipinuma. Would your mind never shine my fry for some? But who go tell the truth? TUC, silence. Even journalists, silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right, wrong is wrong. No matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day then go resist.
Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there o say dem yopo